Well, hey, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's well tonight. Welcome in to Planning Like a Pro, because I want you to be able to launch your youth ministry well at this fall. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I want to welcome you in and say, hey, listen, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Please go ahead and, share what is keeping you awake at night. If you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Paul Turner. I've been a youth pastor now for a little over 35 years. I'm currently serving as a part-time youth pastor in a small rural church here in Alabama. And I'm just excited to be here with you guys. I'm excited to go ahead and share with you some thoughts and ideas on planning, and then also share some resources with you that may be able to help you get that launch going in the right direction. Because listen, it can be stressful, right? Launching, I didn't know this until I recently was talking with one of my coaching clients that there are some people that take the summer off. There is no youth ministry during the summer, which just boggles my mind. I'm like, really? Okay, well, there's no, and then they have an official launch date, which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing per se. It's just something that I've never experienced. I've never experienced not having a summer without youth ministry. It's like, well, what about camp? What about these things? We not have, maybe they do camp, but maybe they don't do regular youth meetings. Anyway, we're going to be talking tonight about planning and how to plan like a pro. And tonight I'm going to share with you, like I said, some resources, some other things, but I want to talk to you about the 11 most important weeks of your youth ministry. The 11 most important weeks of your youth ministry. It's a critical time to get planning. If you're not planned out, I say, Paul, I'm not a planner. Hey, listen, if you're drop me a thumbs up if you are not a planner. Okay, say, hey, that's me, right? So just drop that in the comments and say, hey, I'm not a planner. That's me. We can identify you very quickly, and then we can just get that over with and say, look, I'm not a planner, Paul. And that's okay. And so as we talk about getting into this, listen, not everybody's a planner. Not everybody sees things like me, which I see things 3 months out, 6 months out, 1 year out. That's just how my brain works. And so for those that can't do it, I completely, I'm with you. But in youth ministry, if you're not well planned out, then it's not going to go well for you. It's probably, I would say it's one of the main reasons that a youth pastor does not make it past 22 months in the church. That's just a national average. But I just sense that there's not a sense of planning or a sense of urgency that says, look, we got to get these things on the calendar. And oh, Fidel, sorry, buddy. Sorry that you're not a great planner. I get it. And I quickly found out, at least for me, especially in the first church that I served in, planning was everything. Because once you start falling down and you miss events and you miss opportunities and you are flying by the seat of your pants versus being planned out, there's terrible things that happen. Like you miss deposits, you miss informing parents, you miss just basic things that get you in trouble, because what you're really missing out on is momentum. The whole point for me of planning is figuring out how I can leverage what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, the 11 most important weeks in your youth ministry, and leverage that for momentum. How to transition in and out of seasons, how to transition out of big events, and how to use those to your advantage. To use all the goodwill that you're building up with students, with parents, and with the church. Because listen, if I'm getting called in on things, not at my current church, but in the past, over the past 35 years, it's usually because I missed something. I didn't plan something. Something went, wrong because I did not plan. And that's everything. To me, everything is planning. Because if something goes wrong, I did not think about how this could go wrong. And so because I didn't plan in there, the fact is, okay, what could go wrong with this game, this event, this meeting, this volunteer? If I'm not thinking about those things, nobody else is thinking about those things. And therefore, then I am left to my own devices. And if I get in trouble, it's because I didn't plan. So I take responsibility for that. So let me go and just share with you then what I want to share with tonight. have you ever heard of the Pareto principle? And the Pareto principle says that 80% of your impact comes from 20% of the causes. So if you look at, a church, that 20% of your congregation gives 80% of the giving, right? 20% of your congregation does 80% of the work. 20% of your congregation, shows up to most of your events, right? And I believe that is true, for youth ministry as well. And so if it's true there, I think then, and I am, that is my premise, I will say this, and I think it's true. I think I've been in it long enough and tested it long enough that I believe it's true that there are you only have 11 weeks of the year that are really critical in the times of your youth ministry. So it's safe to say then, right, if that 20% of your year gives you 80% of the bang, so to speak, that means 20% of your year approximately is 11 weeks of 52 weeks, brings your youth ministry the most momentum, the most opportunities, the most growth, the most opportunities to make an impact on your students. And do you know what those weeks are in your youth ministry? Do you know what your 11 most important weeks are in your youth ministry? You might have an idea, right? You could say camp. You could say missions trip. So those are two right there that are automatic for me if you do camps and mission trips. Well, what if you don't do camps and mission trips? Well, you have to figure out then what are those 11 weeks during my year that I need to get planned so that in my head, parents have information. Parents and students can make decisions. Like sometimes you have to just say, look, I'm going to go ahead and in simple ways, low risk ways to do this. I'm taking some students to an event in about 3 weeks, and I wasn't sure how many, right? So it's $25 a kid, and normally they pay late or they pay day of. So I'm saying, okay, hey, the planning goes like this. I'm going to go ahead and pay for it. They're going to pay me back. So I had to send in the information because sometimes if they don't have, listen, if we trusted students to bring their money in on deadlines, we would never do anything. Okay. The youth ministry would just come to a screeching halt because students don't operate that way. And a lot of students' parents don't operate that way unless you're actively, going after them and say, hey, I need your money. So you have to be able to plan on those things that your students are going to be a little lackluster in, like giving you deposits. So you have to plan on that. And what I did is say, look, okay, the church is going to pay for it, send the form in. But a lot of people switch it around, go, well, I can't do that because what if we don't? Well, then it's part of your budget. You have to plan your budget that way as well, knowing that you're going to eat some of the cost. So let me go ahead and give you then some things that I think are the 11 most important weeks. I think they're universal, but once again, they're not all equal in the sense of everybody's youth ministry calendar, okay? So, but I still think you have 11 weeks and that you can make the big difference. So here's what I think. It's the week before, the second week of January. It's not the first week of January. The first week of January, it's kind of dead. And I think a lot of people just consider January dead. But boy, the second week of January, I think is one of your important 11 weeks because you are now casting vision for the year. Your first meeting probably happens on that first week. And the question you have to ask is, do I have a vision for our youth ministry for 2026 coming up, right? Did I have a vision this year for our youth ministry? Did we fulfill that mission? We'll get into that in just a second. But that second week of January is critical in the sense of setting the pace, setting your goals, setting what you're going to do. And then you're going to, by the way, plan on fulfilling them. I'm always, not shocked. I don't know if it's a word, but so many people make plans or so many people set goals or set vision and their calendar looks nothing like their vision. They are planning everything but that. So if you have a goal of growing your youth ministry by 10 kids for the year, that's one thing. If you said we're going to grow by 50, or we're going to have 100, well, I have news for you. If you're not doing a tremendous amount of outreach or discipleship, teaching your kids to reach kids for Christ, you're not going to fulfill your goal at the end of the year. You are crossing your fingers, and praying is good. You should pray, but if you're praying without planning, you're putting everything on. You're saying, well, God, I really don't want to do anything. Faith without works is dead. Okay, you have to, if you're going to have faith, put your faith to work. Plan your calendar like you should, right? How many of you, let me ask this question. How many of you have the next 3 months planned out? You're solid for 3 months, okay? Give me me. Just put a me there. Me, that's me. I am planned. I'll do this 1 month. The month of September. Are you planned for the month of September? If you are, just say, that's me. If you can put not me too, by the way, and say, look, it's not me. I'm not planned. Once again, you may be flying by the seat of your pants. I don't know. Or you may be just struggling to come up with ideas. And that's what this is about tonight. If you have a question, now's a great time to jump in. I maybe have brought you into the deep end of the pool now, and you're like, oh, Paul, what are we talking about? Planning? Far ahead? Well, what do I do about this? And what do I do about that? Now's a good time to ask those questions. So drop them into the chat. Okay. So week 11, the second week of January is one of your first weeks, I believe. The second of the 11 weeks in your year, I think, is the week before a retreat. The week before a retreat. If you do retreats, which I highly encourage, I love doing retreats. I love, even if they're one-day retreats, planning a getaway with students, is it's not camp, right? It's not, a mission trip where you're spending weeks at a time with them, but you are spending significant time with them in the day, because normally you only spend an hour and a half on a Wednesday, maybe an hour on Sunday. So you're looking at 2.5 hours a week. And a lot of that is not depth of conversation necessarily. That's just seeing each other. That's just talking. And maybe a few students you're impacting that way. But normally you don't have that time. So for me, in January, I know that I'm taking my students to discipleship camp. It's a 2-day retreat. It happens in January, which is great for me. It's ability to cast a little bit of vision with them, hang out with them. And I think it's just a great time. Well, hello, Aquila. Well, that's what we're talking about tonight. How do I plan? Well, the first thing we're going to do is identify the 11 most important weeks of your year, right? And I think this applies to everything. I think this applies to business and so forth, but I really think it applies to youth ministry. So you have to then look at your year-long calendar as a youth pastor, if you're a youth pastor, and say, well, what are my 11 most important years? And I'm going to tell you what I think my 11 most important years that I think are somewhat universal. But, there are exceptions to the rule, right? So week before the second week of January, the week before retreat, the week before camp, because what I try to encourage my students is say, look, every year, and teenagers are going to be teenagers, okay? Teenagers are going to teenage, okay? I'm going to pour everything I can into them to remind them, at least the ones that have been before. Guys, if you don't want, and I think it's inevitable, but I say, look, guys, you could build on your faith, right? Let's say you didn't get it right last year. After last year, you went to camp, you were fired up for about a week for the Lord, and then nothing, right? You just went, whoosh. So I'm always in that preparation mode to get them ready for camp, okay? It's one thing, right? Listen, you got to serve appetizers, I think, before you get to the meal. And if camp's the meal, then I have to serve these appetizers ahead of time. So I have 2 or 3 weeks that I build up to camp. I remind about camp. I even speak prophetically towards camp because I want them to get the most. I want them to die to themselves and submit themselves to what the Lord's going to do in their lives at camp. Because I'm a product of camp. I'm a product of what the Lord's done. But I have to prepare students for that time. I have to prepare them leading up to camp, which then leads me to the week after camp. Okay, there's the week before camp, which is the week of camp, which is an important week, and then the week after camp. Okay, the week after camp is about seeing where students are. It's about saying, okay, So the week after camp then comes that discipleship phase. Do my students need a particular message series on a particular topic? Do they need a resource? Do they need a book? Do they need a journal? Do they need counsel? Do they need a small group to fit into, right? To help bolster their faith. And so the week before camp, the week of camp, and the week after camp are all important. They're all momentum makers. And if you're not preparing in that way, well, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with students. You're going to struggle with your kids because you have no expectations, right? You got to have some expectations. You got to have some faith in it, right? To put in there and say, hey, look, these are the things I'm planting. These are seeds that I'm sowing that I hope will grow. Okay. All right. So second week of January, you have the second week of January, week before retreat, the week after retreat, right? You have the week before camp, the week of camp, and the week after camp. So that's 6 right there. So what are the other 5 weeks then that are the most important? Well, the week after someone receives Christ, right? That week, if somebody receives Christ in your youth ministry, then you're saying, okay, things like follow-up. If you're not planning, if you don't have a plan to follow up with students who receive Christ, if all you're going to give them is a pat on the back and go, all right, out into the world you go, good luck, I'm going to say that's not good practice, okay, for ministry. I think you have to engage and say, hey, student, you've come to Christ now. You've made a fresh commitment to the Lord. Your sins are forgiven. You're now going out into the world. How can I help you? Let me help you. Let me get you prepared for some things, right? Let me get you prepared the fact that everybody's not going to understand your commitment. Let me help you understand that that persecution or feeling like other people aren't with you is perfectly normal, right? So when I give a student a book or a resource or a website or a podcast or a link or whatever it may be, I'm trying to help them that time from the time they receive Christ. Now, there are cases where some kids don't need me to come in and help them. That's what their parents are for. Their parents know that maybe they've made a commitment to Christ, so they're going to pour in. By the way, they're the main disciple makers. They're the folks that are going to take care of their students. They're the ones that are going to take care of their kids. I am nothing but vitamin C. If you're a youth pastor, you're nothing but vitamin C. You're the extra vitamin. You're not the main meal. You're helping out, okay? We're helpers. That's what we do. Okay? So the week after someone receives Christ, follow-up is important, and making sure they have a Bible. Simple things like that. Do they know how to read their Bible? Right? Then the next step is, do they know how to study their Bible? So really, you need a discipleship plan. Once again, you need an outreach plan. You need a discipleship plan. You need a fellowship plan. There's all these plans. These are important things if you would like to run a successful youth ministry. If you don't want to run a successful youth ministry, simply don't plan. Don't plan anything. Just run by the seat of your pants. And then when you notice that chaos is erupting, you go, wow, that didn't quite work out the way I planned. Right? Actually, it did. It worked out entirely like you planned because you did not plan, right? If they say if you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? That's what the old saying goes. So the week before an outreach, okay, let's see, 9, 10, that's 8. Yes, 8. That's the 8th week of the week, 8th week of the year that I think is significant because you are planning, you're putting all your effort into getting students to come to your youth ministry, whatever it may be. Like in November, I try to do what's called Nerf November, and we have Nerf Wars, right? So I encourage students to bring people to that. We may be doing a fun, just a meal together where we're doing something with that. We may be going somewhere, having an activity somewhere, and it's an outreach to students who maybe don't know the Lord. So we're going to ask students to invite friends or invite the community. And so in doing this, if you're not preparing for that outreach in all the things, like, do I have enough volunteers? Do I have enough food? Do I have follow-up material for those who may receive Christ that night if I'm giving a message, right? These are super important things, okay? Super important things that you have to plan for if you want to have a successful youth ministry. By the way, I don't know any disorganized youth ministries that are successful, right? I don't know any. If you're a disorganized youth ministry, the chances of you being successful are zero. Because if you're not organized, if you don't have a plan, if you're not taking care of all these little things, then that's tough. That's tough to do, right? I noticed we got a few extra people in here. I want to welcome you guys in. Thank you for joining tonight. Thanks for being a part. If you'd like to let me know where you're from, by the way, jump in. Say, hey, I'm so-and-so from here. My name's Paul. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. So you're welcome to just share where you're from. Also, let me know, do you have, and I asked this before, nobody owned up to it, but do you have next month planned, youth pastors? Is at least September planned? Okay. And if that's you, just put, that's me. I am good to go. If it's not me, then you can put that as well. And then I would extend that out, right? We'll kind of extend this out, see if you have 3 months planned. But let's just see if you have next month planned, okay? I'm trying to help you here. Trying to help you out because it's super important, okay? All right, let's go on. Week before an outreach, the week of the outreach. So that when you are doing you have the week before an outreach, the week of the outreach, that all the details come into focus, right? All the details that come into focus with this. You have to make sure, like example, check the weather. I've done some outdoor events where I did not check the weather, and this is vivid in my mind, is that I didn't check the weather. I was having an outreach. It rained, but it only rained for like a couple of minutes. We could have done the outreach. It would have been fine because the weather had passed by the time the outreach, but I did not check the weather. Checking the weather is a simple thing. If you're doing an outdoor activity or camp or anything, you're going camping, whatever it is, you have to be able to have, check the weather. That's part of planning. Make sure you have enough food, all the things. Do I have enough volunteers? That week is important because you want to execute well. You want to be able to do it well. Hey, what's up? What's up? Aquila from the Bronx. I'm a kid from Brooklyn. Grew up in Flatbush Avenue. I'm living in Birmingham, but I've been here like 20 years. I lived in Florida, so I don't have my New York accent anymore. But welcome in, Aquila. Appreciate you being here. So shout out to NYC. Love it. Went back a few years to go visit for a little while. Had a good time. All right, so week before an outreach, week of the outreach, then the week after the outreach, because you got to clean up, you got to follow up with people. Thanks for coming, right? If you're not doing that, why did you do the outreach? If you're not going to follow up, if you're not going to, thank them for coming, if you're not going to send them a text, if you're not going to, some things are they stand alone that you don't have to follow up. But most outreaches, you say, hey, you want to say thanks for coming because you want to be a community of people that loves people, cares for people. So why not follow up and just say, hey, thanks for coming? It doesn't have to be all whatever. You can just say, hey, thanks for coming. Or just a simple text to say, thanks for coming. If you collected information at the outreach and just say, hey, hit them on social and say, hey, thanks to all. You can just put a picture of the outreach and then tag all the people that were in it and say, hey, thanks for coming tonight. If they put that information, which, by the way, having an information card, part of the planning process. You are planning to reach students for Christ. So you're going to gather some information, just a name and maybe their social handle, whether it's IG, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Snap, whatever it is. Just a way for you to be able to reach them and say, hey, thanks for coming. And that's it. A simple thing like that goes a long, long way. Okay? All right, and the last thing, the last one, those are 10. Those are the 10. Let me review them real quick. Second week of January, week before retreat, a week after the retreat, the week before camp, the week of camp, the week after camp, the week someone receives Christ. By the way, also throw in there baptism, right? Because you got to plan on the fact that we need to plan baptism for the kids that are going to receive Christ, right? You have the week before an outreach, the week of the outreach, the week after an outreach, and then you have the week of graduation, okay? The week of graduation. Now, why is that important week? The week of graduation is important, and I'll say it's important to me, but I think it's an important week in the youth ministry calendar because you are sending off these students. You have one more chance as you launch these students into the world to say, hey, we believe in you. We want the faith of Christ to go with you. We want you to live for Christ while you're at college. You have this opportunity to show both the underclassmen and your graduates, hey, this is how we do things. So I like to give away, not just, a lot of churches give away a Bible and something like that. That's fine. I like to do my own kind of things where I give them, I think I gave them stoles one year, like some Christian-based stoles, like a mantle. And I talked about, receiving the mantle, right, of Christ. Is that almost like what Elijah and Elisha did, right? That, hey, I want that double anointing, right? I want that double anointing from God. And that's what we kind of emphasize. So I put these things on them. Why? Because it's an important week in the calendar. It's an important week for parents, right? It's a family celebration. You're also going to maybe plan for lunch and take kids out for lunch and parents, or you're going to open up the fellowship hall, and you're going to have a fellowship dinner afterwards. So you have another opportunity to, once again, impact parents and students. Okay. And those are the 11 most important weeks. Okay. Let's see. Let me make sure I covered them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. We got them all. Okay. So let me just share with you a couple other resources that are going to help you. Okay. I hope that you found this helpful tonight. If you did, please let me know down in the comments. If you have questions about planning, leave them in the comments, okay? And let me just show you a couple of things that may be of interest to you, okay? I have a resource called My Youth Ministry Playbook, and I'm going to drop a link there. So if you're interested in this at all, and when I show you what's in it, I think you'll be stoked for it, okay? Because you say, Paul, I don't know that there's such a resource like this out there, and I want to make sure that you do know there's a resource and that I've prepared and planned, because I want you to be well planned. I want this stuff I want it as part of your DNA. I want it as part of your youth ministry's DNA, that you're a planner. You're always making sure things are what they're supposed to be, right? So let me go ahead and drop this here. So if you wish to visit it later on, it'll be in the chat. It'll also be in the description down below. So if you'd like a link to My Youth Ministry Playbook, I'll show you what's in it. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let me show you some of the things that are in there. The first thing that I put in there is called Squad Goals, and it's a goal setting course. There's 7 audio lessons plus 7 worksheets that you can work out. Okay. And so you're going to go through this. I encourage you to go through it by yourself first and then go through it with your team. Okay. If you have a team of adults, by the way, and I hope you have a team of adults, because youth ministry is better together. Okay. It's hard when you have to do it by yourself because you have nobody else you can lean on. So I encourage you, put a team together. Okay. So in this resource, you're going to get squad goals. You're also going to get the new Youth Pastor's Guide to Planning Unforgettable Trips. And I did this with a friend of mine, John Rogers, who is a Disney event planner. So he went through all these, and he's a youth pastor, and he was a youth pastor at the time, where we shared what are these things that you want to do when you're going on a trip with your students, and whether that's a trip across town or a trip on a missions trip, or you're taking them to Disney World, or wherever you're taking them. This is a great guide to have, and it comes with worksheets, it comes with advice, it comes with articles, it comes with all those things, okay? Another thing that's inside the Youth Ministry Playbook, and by the way, I call it a playbook, just like football. It is football season, y'all, and I am a New York Giants fan, just so you know, and I hope they're planning well. The past couple of years, they have not planned well, and so I'm hoping that the plans are going forward. Okay. Put Jackson in. Okay. All right. So here we go. So we have that. Then we have, what was I saying? Oh, I said you need a playbook. How many of you know a planner is just, it has empty pages, right? It doesn't tell you how to plan. It's just a planner. It's just empty space for you to write things. Well, how do you know what to write there? Well, the playbook, and the reason for the video and other things, is to help you plan your youth ministry well, right? I have mine right here. I use mine right here. Everything you can print off and put it inside. So here's I got my calendars. I have, my pre-service, by the way. You say there, pre-service checklist. I have my service checklist. What am I going to do in the service? And then I have my post-service checklist for the youth meeting, okay? Those are all important things, right? I want to be prepared before, during, and after my meetings, okay? All right, so let's go on. What else do you get in this resource here? You're going to get rekindling, and let me go ahead and adjust this because this seems to be one I did not adjust. Let's adjust it correctly. Maybe you have some volunteers that I just need a little passion. And there's 5, I put together this so you can have 5 questions to be able to ask your volunteers to kind of fire them back up. I think this would be good as a pre-launch, if you're going to launch your youth ministry. These 5 questions that you have a meeting with your adults and say, hey, let's talk, let's get ready. And some of it's group-wise and some of it you may want to do individually. Okay, you want to be able to do it individually too, because some things they may not share in public. So be careful. Consider, is this best done in a meeting or is this best done individually? So I'm going to say probably start with individual and then broaden it out if you need to, okay, and kind of go from there. All right, then you have, I mentioned Nerf Night before. The Youth Pastor's Guide to Create an Epic Nerf Night, that's in there as well. You're going to get event worksheets, budget buys. You're going to get game ideas. You're going to get theme nights. You're going to get target practice ideas. All those kind of things, you're going to get that. Nerf November works. You can do it anytime, but Nerf November works together, right? Then I even put in there the Youth Pastor's Guide to March Madness. Well, why? Because it's a big deal in some cities that, and you have a lot of jocks, so you have a lot of kids that play basketball. You can do, there's a lot of fun things in there to do. There's chair basketball that we played. There's a link in that to it. It will take you to a video. You can search the video here and just look up for chair basketball. It was fun to do in our youth room. But this gives you a guide to help you do that, to plan effectively, okay? You also have Youth Pastor's Guide to Successful Camp, right? You can go ahead and use this and get ready for next year or whenever you do camp. Maybe you do a winter camp. Maybe you do a spring camp, okay? Then you have, let's see here, where did I go? Oh, there it is. Then I put in there 10 excuses killing your youth ministry. 10 excuses that are killing your youth ministry, okay? I want your youth ministry to do well. But the problem is sometimes we don't plan well because we're busy making excuses. And this little ebook here will help you get over your excuses, okay? We also have, let me show you some of the things here, by the way. Also in there, but I also have this youth meeting. This is called My Youth Meeting Playbook. So you have the My Youth Ministry Playbook, which is the broad sense of that. And then you say, Paul, I need help with just my meetings. Well, you're going to get this as well, because in there you have these meeting planning sheets that give you open space to go ahead. And I put in there the most significant things that are part of a meeting. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Believe it or not, there's 11 things that you need to know about your youth meeting, that you need to be a part of your youth meeting. That's another video, though. But if you're interested, this does come. This is 52, yes, 52, one a week. You can make as many copies as you want, by the way. They're numbered. I probably need to make a non-numbered sheet so you can use it anytime. But at least you know there's 52, because then you know what? You can go at the end of the year, look through your book and go, what did I plan? What did I teach on? What did I do last year that we could, cover, or what do we need to do again? What do we need to move on from, right? So we go from there. So let me show you some of the other things you get. You get an event checklist, okay? These are questions that you would go through and say, I have an event, I have an outreach. What are we doing here? Some of the questions, if the event is not free, how much am I charging, okay? Do I have enough adults sign up to make the event work and make it safe, right? These are important questions. These are things that you want to have. These are things that you want to have as part of your arsenal to help you be a better planner, okay? You have an event planner. Well, what do you know? What are the things you need to know? Well, first of all, you have some ideas, right? You have some ideas. Then you have, well, what will I ask adults to do? What will be their roles and responsibilities? Then what will I ask students to do? And then what am I responsible for? So this little sheet here helps you plan effectively to make sure you are not overworked and underpaid. I can't control the underpaid part. I might be able to help you with the overworked part by helping you be a good planner, okay? But that sheet alone will help you plan your events with some intention behind it. Okay. Month in review. Just do a simple month in review. You get 12 of these in the My Youth Ministry Playbook. Why? Because you go every month and say, okay, this is something you do individually, something you can do with your team. Okay. What worked? What didn't? Where did I grow? Which may have something to do. You may have blown something or messed something up. Where did I grow? What am I learning? What am I learning? Right? So you have to take stock of these things. Okay. Then you have my self-care checklist. That's right. Youth pastors, take care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to last. If you're not in the Word, if you're not praying, if you're not in worship, if you're not living that life, I'm just telling you, that's what's causing these 22 months. It adds to it. It's not the single focus of why youth pastors don't make it past the first 2 years, but I will say that it is a contributor for a lot of youth pastors. Not everyone, but some of them. Okay? So take care of yourself. Make sure you're going through your checklist. Make as many copies as you need. Okay? Then you have the teaching preaching schedule, right? And there's ways of doing this, but at least you have an idea. In January, we're going to go through Matthew. Okay? We're going to do 4 parables from Matthew in January. That's it. Okay? Those are your 4 weeks, right? This does not necessarily include your Sunday school, but this includes just your midweek, your night, right? So you just put something simple in there. We're doing this. So this is just an overview. You can get more detailed if you want, but this is just your overview sheet to help you do that. Okay. Then you have, I just did that. Okay. Then you have prayer list. Well, listen, you got to be praying for folks. People need prayer. People need help. And the greatest way we can help them is to pray for them. Because if we're not praying for them, listen, nothing's going to matter. Nothing's going to help. Okay? It's prayer first. You can plan all you want, but if prayer is not going along with planning, you are planning in vain. Okay? So you've got to be in prayer. You got to say, Lord, take this outreach. Lord, pray for this volunteer who's hurting. Lord, we pray for this person in church. Lord, we pray for these issues in our community. This is your prayer list. You can do this once a day, once a month. Keep a rolling tally on it, however you choose to do it. Okay? But if you're not praying, it's kind of like in, Nehemiah, right? Where Nehemiah, these guys are building the wall, but they also have swords in hand. So they're prepared for battle as well as building. It's just like planning. Planning and praying go together, just like building the wall in Nehemiah and holding and having weapons with you to make sure that if somebody attacks you while you're building the wall, you can defend yourself, right? Because the wall's got to get built. And so prayer and planning go together, okay? And if you're interested, we're going to land the plane now, right? We're going to get there, okay? That if you're interested at all, I say, look, Paul, I would like more information. First of all, you notice that the link for the My Youth Ministry Playbook is in the chat. It'll be down in the description there. I'll also give you, I'm going to put you may not be ready for the My Youth Ministry Playbook, but you may want the My Youth Meeting Playbook to get started. I will put a link there as well. Okay. Let's go ahead and put that in there. And you may say, well, I want that. I just want the meeting book, Paul. Okay, good, because that comes with all kinds of lessons. That comes with, not lessons, but it comes with articles. There's probably a dozen to 15 articles about how to run your youth meeting for effectively to get what you want going there. The other thing I'll put in there is this. You say, Paul, I might need some coaching. Okay, well, I'm going to put the coaching in there as well. Okay, so let me put coaching in there. And the last thing I will offer you tonight is if you'd say, look, Paul, I just like some more information, then I want to give you a free thing. Just sign up for my newsletter, okay? And if you're saying, Paul, I need to relaunch. Maybe your youth ministry has been ineffective lately. Maybe you had to shut it down. Maybe you don't have youth ministry during summer. Say, Paul, I would love to relaunch our youth ministry, and I would love to relaunch it effectively. And you say, Paul, I'd like to do that. Well, I have a free thing. It's just a relaunch checklist. Some things you need to consider. I'm going to put the link here as well. It'll also be down in the description. Okay. Let me put it over here. All right. And there's the relaunch checklist. So you can get a relaunch checklist, get started, start with basics. You don't have to get everything done at the same time, by the way. When you're planning, listen, it's a process, okay? Some things if you get fall done in the spring, that's the way to do it, right? So you're planning for these 3 months, 6 months ahead. You're not planning in the moment. You're planning at least 3 months out and saying, this is what we're doing, okay? And maybe I'll come back on and I'll share another time about how my students came up with 28 weeks worth of stuff that we covered, okay? Of 28 different topics that is going to last us for the next 6 to 8 months. So we'll keep you posted on that. I'll let you know about that. And so those are there. If you want to relaunch your youth ministry, great resource. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask, okay? I appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate you guys being a part tonight of the live stream. Let a youth pastor know. Say, hey, this guy gets on here and he shares wisdom, man. He shared 35 years worth of youth ministry wisdom, things that he has learned over these years to help people who work with students. So if you have a question, now's the time to do it. If you like this video, by the way, also hit the thumbs up button. That lets me know that you like the video and you want more of them. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, I'll leave it to you then. If you don't have any questions, I will leave it with you. I will do this though. Before we end, I'll say a word of prayer. I have a word of prayer for you and your youth ministry. Okay. Father, I thank you for this night. I thank you for the opportunity for all these people to come out and be a part tonight. Lord, I'm grateful and thankful that they love young people and that those in the future, Lord, who'll be watching this, Father, love young people. But Lord, I also pray they'll be diligent in their planning. I pray they'll be diligent in their prayer time as they pray for their students, as they pray for their program, as they pray for their community and their church and their pastor. Father, I pray, God, that Lord, they will look at all these things and not be overwhelmed. But Father, they'll simply find a place to start and then begin to build upon that. Start with something basic and then build upon it. So Lord, I pray blessings upon these youth ministries, on these youth pastors that are watching. We put them in your hands, Lord, and I pray that they will put their hearts in your hands. And so, Lord, we bless you and we love you. We thank you for the time we're able to share together. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. There we go. Oh, that's awesome sauce. The youth ministry resource and coaching. Yeah, well, that all comes together. By the way, if you get coaching, okay, you get a ton of resources with that. You get the youth ministry playbook and you get the my youth ministry playbook and the youth meeting playbook. There is a cost, by the way, for all of these things, and that helps support the youth ministry. That helps support the ministry I have to other youth pastors across the world. I've given away a lot of stuff, for free. But I've also, those that can afford it. We appreciate people who can afford it because then it helps me be able to give away those things. So anyway, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you being a part tonight. I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great night, everybody, and have a great youth meeting this week if you have one scheduled. We'll talk to you later.